Hey guys, welcome to the channel, Sunny here. Today we are making a guide on the Woosa class. Her sister twin class is right around the corner, and I've been playing the Woosa ever since it came out, so I figured I think it's about time we put out the full complete guide for this class if you have been considering picking it up. It's absolutely amazing. It is one of the best grinders in the game right now, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So today we're going to be covering gearing, we're going to be covering crystals, skill add-ons, builds, and of course some combos for you to jump in and get full effect out of your Woosa. Now let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to cover right here in this guide is gearing. And the big question is, of course, is she a DR class or an evasion class? And the TLDR is she's a DR class. And if you're unsure about what this means, the DR, evasion, the differences and everything, I highly recommend checking out some of the guides I have on the subject. It's very interesting, and you can build a lot of classes way different than you'd think. So check them out, but for all intents and purposes, this is definitely a class that would benefit the most of being a DR build. She doesn't have any good base evasion numbers. She has the exact same base stats as a warrior, which is a quintessential DR class, and she doesn't have any evasion buffs or passive effects. So everything in her kit screams DR, and there's also another thing in her kit which benefits her being DR for PvP purpose. Now for in-game, you're going to take more damage if you're a DR build, but you'll also be able to deal more damage. She has a passive, or not, she has a special skill in her kit, a very unique mechanic, where she can actually reflect damage back that she receives. So if you're too tanky, you can't reflect enough damage back. It's a fun little mechanic, and it is something that actually gives tanky value to a DR build for PvP purposes in-game, but for most people it's not going to be a big deal. DR is definitely the way to go for this class. Now, if you're considering or wondering about how to build her, gear her, I would just suggest checking out my gearing guide. Link will be in the description. I would build her all the way through, like this guide here, from season 2 endgame, and just follow it step by step. And again, link will be in the description. Next up is crystals. And this gets a bit more interesting and important, I would say, with this class here. So for PvE purpose with the crystals, I've put out a guide very recently, link will be in the description, with basically the best in slot crystal builds for anything, and also a lot of explanation about the AP caps for grinding and how you can specialize your crystals a lot more knowing these things. So check that out as well. Now, for this class, one of the big questions whenever you're making a crystal build for your class is, do you need accuracy? And for this class here, the answer is a lot of the time, yes. Her skills have anywhere from 7% accuracy rate on them up to 15% accuracy rate. And that's pretty okay. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely not high accuracy. The only accuracy buff or evasion shred she has is on her WE, which is a 9% evasion shred. So her kit will a lot of time at in-game grinding at least benefit from having 1 to 2 Gen Vipers in them to make sure you hit these accuracy thresholds. So let's take a quick look at that. Here we go. This is the crystal setups that I will be linking. There's a lot of these different options and some explanation to them. So this one here with the Gen Vipers is most likely what you'll be looking at quite often. And if we go back here and look at some of the gearing paths, let's take one of the more late game gearing paths here. And we're gonna talk about artifacts a bit later, so we're just gonna leave these base artifacts here for now. But let's go in and let's look at the PvE hit rate calculator. So you're gonna have 4% skill add-on and 4% evasion shred skill add-on, which pretty much everyone should be running. And you're going to have, let's be generous and say 10% accuracy on the skills, like 7 to 15%, so average 10. And then a 9% shred, so we're gonna say and put this at 19. If we go down and look at different grind spots here, you see with this, she's going to be capping out at most places. There are some areas like Bloody Monastery, Ash Forest, and Hex, and also for super in-game here with Quint, where you are still running a bit low, and this is where you need these accuracy buffs from your crystals. So if we go in here and we go into the build again, and now we go under and we select the accuracy crystal setup here, we're gonna go with this one, the one I'm suggesting for the most part. Again, you can go with 1 Viper, 2 Vipers in a lot of this. And for lower grinding, as you saw, you don't really need it. So I would highly recommend to check it out yourself, do the numbers and figure out if you need the accuracy or not. So now we can go under here with the same build, same gearing. We go 4-4 and this was 19. And we can see we're actually going to be capping out at pretty much everywhere in the game with this, even at in-game. Now, if you're not at these in-game grind spots, you'll most likely be perfectly fine not running the Vipers in your build. So nowadays, you get a lot of skill points and you don't need very many to max out your build. So the skill point section is gonna be a bit small since you now can get pretty much everything while leveling up, which is awesome. I'm so glad they did this. So some quick notes about the skills. First off, locking skills. I only have locked fan kick, and it's not that it's a bad skill for the PvE. It just flows a bit better with it locked than unlocked in my personal preference. You can unlock it in your combo for a bit extra damage if you want to. I just really prefer the flow of the combo while having it locked, and you don't need it there either to fill out cooldown gaps. So for me, I have this one locked, but try out both and find out what you prefer. Also, of course, locking evasion. You always want to lock that more or less. So yeah, lock evasion as well. Now, I wanted to talk quickly about this skill here, the range thirst, which is a new mechanic of the class. The way this works is you get super armor for a couple seconds here. I'll show you the skill. SQ, you get super armor while it's up, and you get a 50% damage reduction. Now, while you're standing in that animation, any damage you take, which is reduced by 50%, is stored up as an energy. And the next time you use an ability, that damage is being dealt as true damage. Basically, as much HP as you lose, as much true damage you will deal. It is damage that ignores damage reduction and evasion. It goes through blocks. It ignores PA effects, which is the 50% damage reduction, protected area effects. So it has some really cool niche uses, where if you can go in, take a lot of burst damage, but stay alive, the more damage you can take, the more damage you can deal back. So let's say that you lose 5k HP. Now, when you use an ability, you will deal 5,000 damage on top of your ability to every target you hit. And it's true damage. So you take 5k, if you hit 10 opponents, you now dealt a bonus 50k damage. It's a really crazy ability with some cool usage, but it's also very hard to get off. This basically has usage for PvP purpose. You can use it as a oh shit button in PvE if you're about to be hit by a big attack and you forgot you have an iframe or whatever it is, then you can use it. It's not going to be something that you're going to be used for damage in PvE. Next up is your skill enhancements. For PvE purpose, nothing here is really amazing. I personally don't use a single one of these for my PvE combos. Same also with the prime abilities. Obviously we use the E-buff on cooldown always for some bonus damage, but I do not utilize the C abilities in my combos. You can play around with them. I'm sure that they have some uses that can be great for fillers, but in general you don't need them, and they aren't that amazing. Same over here. You have down here, you have some heals, which are great, especially early on if you don't have the infinite potions and things like that. I would definitely recommend probably getting this one here for some HP regen over time that you can quickly use. and then keep grinding. You regen your HP and you can keep going and don't have to worry about potions all the time. So it's a great ability to have as a filler as well in between packs. Up here, there's nothing really, like, I don't use these for PvE myself. If you wanted to play around with something, I would guess that this one up here, the Kaleidoscope Flower, might be a really solid option, but in general, these here are more focused on and usable in PvP. So, as I said, not a whole lot in the skill section, but that's also something, I guess. So don't worry about this stuff too much. Get in there and get grinding. Now let's take a look at the PvE skill add-ons that I've been running. I've been playing around with this for a bit, and I feel like I have the optimal setup for the combo that I'm going to show you today. Well, actually, the two combos that loop into an infinite combo. So this right here basically covers all your things. I've done some testing and made sure that the buffs and debuffs, they like stay up at all time. They don't run out using this setup, and they make sure to overlap as well really nicely. So first off, we have the T3 add-ons. Now, the T3 is going to be Stormfall and it's going to be Cloud Rise. This is your most powerful and biggest add-ons on the longest cooldown abilities. And this class has two amazing T3 add-ons with high damage, but also super useful, right? A lot of classes have either 0 or 1 they can sometimes use, but with Woosa, you can keep these add-on up at all time because you have two. And well, if you make sure to use debuffs, they last for 10 seconds. So here I would 100% recommend getting minus 20 DP on both of them. We're going to be using them differently in the combo section so they don't waste uptime. Basically, just as one is about to run out, we apply the next one and we make sure that we can loop these at all times. It's really powerful. The second add-on on them, that depends on what you're doing and where you are. I've been running double critical hit damage on mine for quite a while here, but I wanted to show that if you're lacking accuracy in your build, I would take -5 evasion rate on potentially both of them, so you can keep that up at all time as well in your PvE comboing. But for me, I have a lot of accuracy with my gear, so I didn't need them to cap out accuracy, so I went with critical hit damage 5% on both of them. Now, next up, we have these like abilities that we're going to be looping as well and using in our combos, and these are 100% what I would recommend. I don't really think there's any real things you could change here other than maybe the accuracy rate into something else. It could be heal, it could be restore, it could be healing over time, it could be dodge, whatever it is you need, if you don't need the accuracy. But otherwise, I would put the accuracy rate in here. First off, we're going to go with the monster damage and attack speed abilities. Bamboo 1 is great. It's going to be an opener in the second half of the combo. So with this one here and the other one being down on the the kick ability, you will have 100% uptime on the monster AP and attack speed, and you're going to start out with these in both your combos, which is really nice, getting that instant boost and the attack speed to get faster DPS out. Other than that, we have probably the most important skill add-on in the entire kit. Is going to be the 20 critical hit rate. For this one here, I made sure to put it again on early abilities in both the combos, and they are going to stay up fully. So when you do this combo that I'm going to show you, they will have 100% uptime when you do it. One note about this: if you do not have the Deathblow Lightstone combo, you should 100% use the T3 critical hit rate add-on up here. So in case you don't have the Deathblow, you can't get it for PvE, what you do instead is you go -20 DP on the T3, and then you go 30 crit rate on the second half of it. So you want both your T3 add-ons to look like this if you do not have the Deathblow Lightstone combo. And then you can, instead of the 20 crit rate, you can use the minus evasion rate on that instead. As this is a guide focused around PvE mainly, I wanted to show a bit of the movement stuff this class had when you're moving pack to pack, which is super important for clear speed. A lot of people undervalue proper movement while you're out grinding, and it is massive at increasing your trash per hour with having fast pack-to-pack movement and knowing how to maximize your DPS uptime by spending as little time as possible moving. So one of the things that are kind of nice with this class here, if you're leveling it up and you are basically just one-shotting packs, I found a little trick that was really nice for me when I was leveling my Woosa up, and it was utilizing the spacebar with movement. So she has some great iframes, nice simple iframes here to the side and also forward. And as you can see, they have 3 seconds cooldown on them all, right? What you can do is you can do iframe, and then you can do spacebar, and then you can move into another iframe and spacebar, iframe again and spacebar. So constant movement if the packs are close, allowing you to have constant damage uptime, one-shotting packs, moving on to the next, and just rinse, repeat. And the beautiful thing about this is if you're spamming your iframes and movement, you use a lot of stamina, right? So you can burn out your stamina pretty quick if you're constantly using your movement here without really thinking about it. And suddenly you're gonna stand still. But by doing the iframe and then spacebar, you actually regenerate more stamina than you use. So this is a great quick way of going pack to pack when you one-shot mobs and can actually kill them by just using your spacebar. For more long-range movement, you can do your shift space. So by doing the shift space, you will jump very fast and run forward, and you can move super quick, super far. I use this personally all the time. It's like ideal for plays like Trolls, which I'll show you a short clip of in the video as well when I'm grinding that. Great for that longer distance movement. And you can also cancel it if you want to. You can do click LMB and you will go down right next to them, turn around. But you can also hold down abilities like F. And that is great because my combo starts with that. So you'll see me jump in a lot of times just holding down F as soon as I'm at the pack, and I can start unloading. Now it does have a bit longer cooldown, so it's not great for this really quick movement if you are killing packs very fast. Some other movement the class has is the WF. It's a quick burst movement forward along with the W shift for the iframe. Now these two here also link together very nicely, so you can iframe dash into the into the shift F for a quick engage into a pack, do a hit, start doing your combo. Now both of these abilities have a bit of a linger at the end, but you can cancel this with any ability, and most importantly you can cancel it using the F key, which is the ability key that I use in my first combo, which I will show you here shortly. So you can iframe in and just instantly start doing your combos. For a more spammable movement, you have your iframe forward, but as you can see here, there's a bit of an animation lock at the end of it. You can spam your iframe forward and only get the iframe on every 3 seconds, but you can use it constantly. Now, the issue with this is the wasted time you see getting locked into this. The way you can cancel it is a lot of different ways. Most people prefer to do quick RMB every time you dash. You can also do a Q and cancel it that way real quick. It's not super nice or super smooth, but it is the best way of doing it. Hopefully you won't need to do it that often, and you can just go straight into your combos with your F key or any other key you would need to, depending on the combo you're going to be using. And now let's jump in to what I know a lot of you guys been waiting for, the infinite loop PvE combo that I've been spending a lot of time maximizing performance on. I took the base combo, shout out to D Jules and Devious. They were able to come up with amazing combos on day one, and I took those, I've been playing around with them, and I've been trying to min-max them for high DPS, but also how easy they are to do. One of the things I always look for when I make my PvE combos is that they are easy and consistent and they flow really well together. So it doesn't have to be any sort of counterintuitive key finger placements and everything. And I think I came up with the perfect combo. It's also an infinite loop combo, which basically consists of 2 different combos put together. The way you do it is actually very simple. The first part of the combo is you hold down F, and then you go Shift F, and then you go spacebar. And then you finish off with a Shift Q. So it will look something like this. Hold down F for the 3 attacks, Shift F, spacebar, Shift Q. This right here, first part of the combo, it gets you all the skill add-ons that you want. And another cool thing about this class and combos is you can cancel any ability more or less at any point. So as you will see in the video of me grinding here in a bit, if you need to reposition for getting back attacks or avoiding big nukes, you can do it at any point during a combo, and you can just continue where you left off, and it will flow extremely well together no matter what. A great example of this is the Shift Q ability. If I do the Shift Q ability here without any precursor, without doing it in a combo, it has this long wind up stuff in the start. Whereas if you do it in a combo, it skips that starting animation and goes straight into the high DPS part of the ability. And just like pretty much any other ability in this kit, it also works if you are doing an iframe, right? So let's say I do my combo here, and I need to reposition. I just do that and Shift Q into the back attacks with the long high DPS animation. And again, you can do it on any part during the combos. The second combo, or second part of the infinite combo, we start out with WE, Bamboo, into Bamboozled, into Orchid. Then we go into Thunderstroke, Plum, Kaleidoscope Swirl, or Shift F, or Shift LMB, and then we finish off with Cloud Rise on the Shift RMB. So it's gonna look something like this. We start out by holding down F. And as you can see, it's a very, very APM heavy combo that really just forces you to stay on your game and pay attention while grinding. And there it is. It will loop perfectly well into the other side of the combo once again, as soon as you're done. And you can keep going like this forever if you needed to, but obviously you should be able to just use the 2 different combos depending on where you're grinding. But it is an infinitely looped one, and you can just pick up and leave off wherever you want at any given point and keep going with it. Guys, I hope you found this useful. I can tell you I've been having a blast PvEing on this class. I'm really excited to try out the new class Mego coming out, so expect a guide on her in the future as well. And as always, if you have any questions about this, drop a comment or drop by the stream at twitch.tv/bprimegaming. Happy grinding. I'll see you in the next one.